Various variants of xenomorphs that appeared in Alien films explained in detail. What first comes to your mind when you talk about Sir Ridley Scott's 1979 science fiction horror film Alien? There is no presumption that it is the xenomorph, and there is no denying that these endoparasitoid alien species are simply the most iconic movie creatures that have ever existed. Of course, the Swiss surrealist and artist Our Giger deserves full credit for having developed such a spectacular nightmarish design for the xenomorph in this 42-year. Mind you, old science fiction saga, these creatures have new avatars in literally every movie in the Alien movie series, each of which is more frightening and scary than the previous one. In today's video, we will explain in detail various variants of xenomorphs that appeared in the Alien franchise. Before going into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thanks. Let's get started. Big Guy Alien 1979. Meet the one who started it all, the original xenomorph, popularly known as the Big Guy. You will be quite surprised to know that this variant of the xenomorph has about 4 minutes of screen time. In fact, you don't see it for the first time during the whole movie until you've been in the movie for about an hour. It's quite hard to ignore its first appearance when it attacks Samuel Brett, one of the engineers, in a landing skid, pierces his skull with a head bite, and then disappears along with the body in the ventilation ducts. For those of you who are wondering what a head bite is, well, it is considered to be the alien's characteristic method of killing prey. The creatures use their inner jaws to pierce the victim's skull and fatally destroy the brain with force, which is simply unthinkable. This particular xenomorph is responsible for wiping out all but one of the Nostromo crew within a few hours and was eventually killed by Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley, who blew up the creature in the depths of space. Our Giger made many conceptual paintings of the creature before deciding on the final design, which is made of plasticine and fused with pieces that you would definitely never think of, like snake vertebrae and cooling pipes of a Rolls-Royce. The creatures have a tail with a small barb-like tip. Giger had helped the Italian special effects artist Carlo Rambaldi, especially with the head of the creature. The final head actually had almost 900 moving parts and joint points. Even a real human skull was used, that was hidden under the smooth shiny headgear. The overall slimy appearance of the alien was achieved with generous amounts of KY jelly. Also, a latex costume was specially made for the 6-foot-tall 10-inch tall Nigerian visual artist and actor Balaji Badio, the big chap brought to life on the screen. It is even reported that the late actor Tai Chi in pantomime lessons to make the alien's movements look more realistic. But although Badejo was recognized as the main actor of the Alien, there were scenes where it was demanded that the creature be played by stuntman Eddie Powell and Roy Scammell. Back to this particular variant of the xenomorph, the fact that Giger suggested, or rather insisted, that the creature had no eyes gave it an even more unwelcome appearance of an enemy and passive animal, even director Ridley Scott having to see a creature or just parts of it, to intensify the prevailing feeling of anxiety and tension. No wonder the American Film Institute ranked this monster at number 14 on its list of the 100 greatest heroes and villains. It goes without saying that Big Chap really stands out from literally all his future versions, and it is precisely this terrible creature that popularized the movie slogan "In space no one can hear you scream." Facehugger Alien 1979. Stay true to his name, this variant of the xenomorph has squid-like suckers that literally hug your face. Death. The facehugger hatches from an alien egg and has 8 long finger-like legs that allow him to move very quickly, and a long tail to reach greater heights, more like a parasitoid whose only purpose in life is to come into contact with the host, especially with its mouth. Here it could start the implantation process of wrapping its legs around the victim's head and hooking its tail around the host's neck when the facehugger administers some kind of xenos-based paralytic. The host is comatose and then inserts an egg positor into the neck of the host to place the embryo that the creature is breathing for the host, and any attempt to get rid of the facehugger can prove to be quite fatal for you. If a creature reacts by tightening its grip around your neck, even if you think you could just cut off its finger-like legs, you will witness the splash of acidic blood and believe us that you firm enough that if you try to tear it off by force, the probability is high that the whole face of the host is simply tearing off, just tearing apart. After the foreign embryo is implanted and secured, the facehugger will come off, crawl away and eventually die. The victim, on the other hand, will wake up normally without any idea about the implantation. These creatures are quite cunning. They are known to ambush their victims at rather convenient moments. For example, When the victim is distracted alone or without help, the facehugger also has a certain ability to measure how much acid is needed to melt through the helmets, to achieve the face of the goal without causing physical harm to the victim. Our Giger has many designs of different sizes before deciding on the final version, which was a small beige creature with skeletal hand-like legs and a long spine-like tail. He initially wanted the facehugger to hold on to the victim's helmet, but Scott eventually concluded that the effect would be much greater if the creature were revealed after removing the helmet. It was Dan O'Bannon who designed the facehugger prop all by himself, with Ron Cobb also inserting the technical elements of the muscle structure into the bones for the scene in which the dead facehugger is examined. Science officer Ash Scott used parts of fish and shellfish to make the internal organs of the body look all the more real. Queen Aliens 1986. The biggest and also meanest of all xenomorphs, the queen is massive with a discouraging physical presence. She is the only one who lays the eggs, which later makes her xenomorphs. She is even at the top of the xeno food chain, which makes her all the scarier and more difficult to handle. Introduced in James Cameron's 1986 science fiction action movie Aliens. The mummy protects her nest. Extraordinarily intelligent and terribly powerful. In the early stages of the xenomorph infestation of Hadley's Hope, one of the very first creatures to emerge from the early hosts, evolved into a queen and eventually built a hive in the colony's atmospheric processing plant after it had grown up. She started laying her own eggs by sending her drones to take the captive colonists to the hive to act as a host. The queen is about 15 feet tall and has two pairs of arms, one taller than the other. Her head has this massive carapace that looks more like a crown. Her outer mouth is clearly separated from the rest of her head and there are high heel protrusions from her feet. Let's not forget the immense, undisputed leader on LV-426 died by Ellen Ripley. The creature undergoes an immediate transformation and thanks to the improved growth of the species, it is fully developed right after birth. It's actually quite hard to ignore the baby xenomorph, who screeches in front of an enchanted David after his birth, and you have to experience that. After the latter threw her into space through an airlock, while the original alien strip left the origin of the eggs unclear, director James Cameron had things clarified in his favor by introducing the colossal alien queen to the audience, who not only laid eggs, but also acted as the source of her life cycle. Cameron even went so far as to design the queen himself in collaboration with the creator of special effects, Stan Winston. The end result was a 14-foot doll made of lightweight polyurethane foam, in which two people sat and controlled the arms. The legs were controlled by the rods connected at the ankles, and there was a separate person who moved the tail around with a fishing line, and the head was a mixture of servo motors and hydraulics managed by at least 4 people. No wonder the film won an Oscar for visual effects. Intelligent Aliens. Alien Resurrection 1997. The intelligent aliens, better known xenomorphs, are a modified variant of the xenomorph XX-121, created in the top-secret scientific research vessel USM Auriga in 2381 with a height of 7 feet. These creatures first appeared in the 4th episode of the 1997 Alien franchise, Jean-Pierre Genet's Alien Resurrection. After the events on Fiorina Fury, 161 blood samples of the late Ellen Ripley were taken from the planet and used to recreate them as part of an ambitious program, hoping that the xenomorph queen's embryo had grown inside her at the time of her death. After years of experiments and 7 failed attempts, which led to grotesque results, the program was apparently successful, and the queen's embryo was harvested aboard the USM Auriga. The clone xenomorphs were artificially produced genetic engineering, but without the knowledge of the scientists. The DNA of the xenomorphs and Ellen Ripley was mixed in the process, as a result of which both the Ripley clone and the queen abilities were obtained, which were eventually passed on to their children by the queen, who herself returns to this alien scene to understand the severity of the particular act of representation. And if you liked our content, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to us, if you still have nothing good and are safe. Thanks to everyone.